You are next.
Bolo Yeung is a Chinese actor, bodybuilder, director, and producer. The audience often remembers the good guys, but Bolo managed to win the love of fans by playing mostly bad guys. Bolo Yeung, where is the Chinese Hercules now? Yang Si, better known as Bolo Yeung, was born on July 3, 1946, in the Chinese city of Guangzhou, into a family of a local entrepreneur and housewife. At the age of 4, the boy became interested in Kung Fu, and at the age of 10, he began to study martial arts with local masters. He also attended acrobatics training and became interested in weightlifting. He successfully combined martial arts with power loads, which allowed him to become the Chinese champion in powerlifting. Contrary to popular belief, Bolo wasn't a Shotokan karate champion and never practiced this kind of martial arts. In the mid-60s, the young man fled from communist China to Hong Kong. More precisely, he swam there. It was one of the few escape routes with the least likelihood of meeting the border patrol. In Hong Kong, Yang Si became a coach and opened his own bodybuilding school. Soon he came to the attention of an agent of the largest Hong Kong film company, Shaw Brothers Studio, who invited him to star in a movie. In 1970, the 23-year-old athlete made his motion picture debut in The Wandering Swordsman, in a supporting role, and won the Mr. Hong Kong title in the bodybuilding tournament, which he continued to confirm for 9 consecutive years. After playing brutal villains in 14 more films, including the action movie 5 Fingers of Death, the aspiring actor decided to leave the studio. The turning point in Yang Si's career was meeting Bruce Lee. At the time, Bruce was filming the movie Path of the Dragon, which was sponsored by Winston Cigarette Company. In cinemas, before the screening, it was planned to launch a short masterclass from Bruce Lee and a cigarette advertisement in which Yang Si was invited to star. A friendship struck up between them, and in 1973, Bruce invited his friend to play a bodyguard of his main on-screen opponent in the movie Enter the Dragon. It was in this film that Yang Si played a character named Bolo, which he later chose for his stage name. In this movie, Bolo Yeung didn't fight Bruce Lee. He promised to put up a fight in the next film, which was to be Game of Death, but Bruce Lee died 6 days before the premiere of Enter the Dragon. The release of the action movie Chinese Hercules followed.
Well, in that case, what do we do with them? We kill them. And dump them.
Even though Bolo didn't play the main role in it, the nickname Chinese Hercules got firmly entrenched for him, like another nickname, the Beast from the East. Working with the legendary Bruce Lee made it easier for Bolo to get roles in movies, but his friend's death had closed his way to American cinema for many years. Left unsupported, he continued to play villains in local action films such as the 1974 The Young Dragons and the 2 parts of Bruce and Shaolin Kung Fu. We know nothing about the actor's wife, but their eldest son David was born on July 3, 1974, and he followed in his father's footsteps. From childhood, he practiced martial arts, and at the age of 14, together with Bolo, he appeared on the stage of a bodybuilding tournament for the first time. In addition, he starred in several films and is now engaged in coaching. Later, the couple had a daughter called Deborah, who was practicing bodybuilding under guidance of the older brother, and the younger son Danny, who also linked his life with sports and practices Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. In 1978, Bruce Lee's picture Game of Death was completed with the use of stunt doubles and was released in cinemas. Bolo Yeung also appeared in it. The actor also tried his hand at directing. In 1979, the comedy thriller Bolo and the film Wendo were released. Among the actor's subsequent works are the action movie The Ninja Strikes Back, the horror movie The Boxer's Omen, the action comedies Millionaire's Express, Lucky Stars Go Places, Where's Officer Tuba, and My Lucky Stars. In 1986, Bolo worked with Bruce Lee's son Brandon on the set of Legacy of Rage.
I've been fighting in the streets for 10 years. No one's ever laid a hand on me.
He not only played the main character's antagonist, but also prepared Brandon for fights. Yeung would book the gym for 9 a.m., but Lee only would show up at noon. Lee was reluctant to exercise. He only did it because the producers asked him to. While acting in movies, Bolo Yeung repeatedly became the champion of Southeast Asia in Kempo from the late 70s to the late 80s. Even in the 90s, he still successfully participated in competitions. Bolo Yeung became world famous by the action movie Bloodsport, released in 1988, in which he played the main villain named Chang Li.
Very good. But break, not hit back.
On the set, he met the actor Jean-Claude Van Damme, who had always been a fan of Bolo. Although critics gave the film negative reviews, the audience received it well, and the career of the 42-year-old actor got a second wind. Bloodsport gave the actor access to the roles of the main negative characters in action films Blood Fight, Breathing Fire, Tiger Claws, Fearless Tiger, and Ironheart. In 1991, Van Damme invited Yeung to play his rival in the film Double Impact, offering a fee of $25,000.
Where are the twins?
Fuck you.
Stop! They've gone. They've left the island.
She lies.
20 years later, Jean-Claude's son surprised his father by inviting Bolo to dinner, and they gladly revisited the times when they worked on the set together 15 hours a day. Bolo constantly mentions in interviews that the role of a villain entrenched in him doesn't embarrass him. Nevertheless, there are several roles of good guys in the actor's filmography. In 1993, he played in the fantastic action movie TC-2000, and also appeared as Master Shingo in the films Shoot Fighter, Fight to the Death, released in 1993, and Shoot Fighter 2, 1996.
You want to press charges, we'll meet you in court. Now, get out.
Relax.
Also in 1996, Yeung starred in another action movie, Tiger Claws 2, after which he had a career break. In 2006, Yahoo conducted a survey asking users who is the best actor in kung fu films, and Bolo took second place right after Bruce Lee. In 2007, he was invited to star in The Ultimate Fighter, co-produced by the United States and Kazakhstan. Due to legal issues, the film never made it to the cinemas. It was limited to screenings at several festivals until it went online more than 4 years later. In 2008, Bolo officially announced that he was leaving his work in the cinema, but after that, he nevertheless starred in 2 more films made in Kazakhstan. In 2011, Bolo Yeung came to Russia at the invitation of a fitness club. He had visited Moscow earlier in the 90s and announced work on a joint picture, but the project was never implemented. Bolo also appeared in an episode of the documentary project Jean-Claude Van Damme Behind Closed Doors. It is worth noting that Yeung has also appeared in several documentaries about Bruce Lee. In 2016, the actor played a cameo role in Diamond Cartel and appeared in the action-adventure movie The Whole World at Our Feet a year earlier. Bolo is currently the chairman of the Hong Kong Gym Business Association and the team manager of the Tapai International Bodybuilder Squad. He also conducts master classes, celebrity stakeouts, and autograph sessions. He begins every morning with a 2-hour workout, doesn't smoke or drink alcohol. The fortune of 74-year-old Bolo Yeung is estimated at $1.5 million and mainly accounts for real estate. Since 2018, the actor has been living in Monterey Park, California, in a 2-story house with 5 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms. On the ground floor, there is a dining room with an elegant chandelier and a large open kitchen with a dining area leading to a living room with a fireplace. There are 3 more bedrooms on the 2nd floor, and there is a seating area in the backyard with a gazebo and a fountain. The garage has space for 4 cars, but only one of Bolo's cars is known to the public. It's the $49,000 Audi A3 convertible. Amiable in common life, Bolo Yeung always knew how to bring the feeling of a real threat on the other side of the screen. He tried to make people see martial arts as something more than just a circus, and once said that a real professional should make one move which will be watched breathlessly. What is your favorite movie with Bolo Yeung? Sylvester Stallone. How Rambo lives and how he spends his millions. Sylvester was born on July 6, 1946 in New York. His mother, Jacqueline, or Jackie, was a big fan of actor Tyrone Power and wanted to name her firstborn in his honor. But upon receiving the birth certificate, she saw a different name. The boy's father, Frank, gave him the name Michael Sylvester Gardenzio Stallone. Frank was an immigrant from Sicily. owned a small chain of hairdressers and was infamous for his violent temper. Jackie, who grew up in a wealthy family of a successful lawyer, connected her life with a man who was a serial cheater and a tyrant at home. The first years of his life, Sylvester spent most of his time in the house of a nanny hired by his parents. He saw them on weekends, but these meetings were very reserved. The boy felt unloved. In 1950, the family had a second son, Frank Jr., and their wealth grew. But Stallone Sr. didn't change, so in 1956, Jackie filed for divorce. Sylvester stayed with his father and tried desperately to earn his love, but it was in vain.
These your parents?
Yeah, that's both of them there.
Is this you?
Yeah, that's me when I was 8 years old. That's the Italian stallion when he was a baby.
He had other problems, like his birth defect. Due to an obstetrician's error, the left half of Sylvester's face remained paralyzed, which affected his speech. Peers bullied him, so Stallone decided that he needed to build muscle mass. For this purpose, he used car parts from the landfill and construction materials. And when he got older, he almost lived in the gym. By 13, Sylvester was expelled from 14 schools because of his aggressive behavior. At 15, he found himself at the Charlotte Hall Military Academy. At the same time, he moved in with his mother, but she would ignore him. In her entire life, she only kissed her son once, right after the divorce. Back then, Stallone started boxing and became interested in soccer. After receiving a high school diploma, he entered college, where he began acting in the student theater. Then in 1965, Sylvester went to study in Switzerland at the American College while working as a personal trainer. Later, there was a theory that he did it to evade serving in the army and being sent to Vietnam. In 1991, the actor filed a libel suit against a tabloid and won the case. Upon returning to America in 1967, Sylvester enrolled at the University of Miami as a drama major, finally deciding to connect his life with performing. In 1969, Stallone dropped out of the university and decided to conquer the New York theaters. The young man tried to act in films, but cameo roles didn't solve financial problems. At some point, Sylvester found himself homeless, sleeping at the train station for 3 weeks. Then he came across an ad about casting for the movie The Party at Kitty and Studs. It was an adult movie, but there wasn't much choice. For 2 days of filming in 1970, Sylvester received $200. When he became famous, the film was re-released as Italian Stallion. After several other tiny film roles, in 1971, the aspiring actor took part in an erotic theatrical production of Score, which was shown in 23 theaters in New York. For the most part, the directors refused Stallone because of his speech impediment, so he earned his living as a doorman, bouncer in a restaurant, and even cage cleaner in a menagerie. Sylvester shared an apartment in New York with his girlfriend Sasha Zak. They married in 1974 and later had 2 sons, Sage and Sergio. The youngest has been diagnosed with autism and doesn't appear in public. The elder Sage managed to star in several films, but died young in 2012 from a heart attack. In 1974, Sylvester got a role in the movie The Lords of Flatbush. According to him, for it, he received 25 t-shirts as a payout, after which he moved to Hollywood. In 1975, the actor starred in the films The Prisoner of 2nd Avenue, Capone, Farewell, My Lovely, episodes of several TV series, and the fantastic action movie Death Race 2000. For the latter, Sylvester received $700 a week. In March of the same year, the actor watched the Muhammad Ali fight and got so inspired that he decided to write a film script about a boxer who never gives up. He did not leave the house for 92 hours while writing, and the story was a success by pure luck. Stallone auditioned for another movie, but he was turned down. During the audition, he mentioned that he also wrote scripts, and the producers asked him to send them the Rocky script. At first, the studio offered Sylvester $150,000 with the condition that another actor would play the lead role. After long negotiations, the producers agreed that Rocky would be Stallone himself. For this, the actor agreed to reduce his payout to $23,000. They say that at that moment, there was only $106 in his bank account, and he could not afford to keep his dog, so he ended up selling it for $50. To get the pet back, Sylvester had to pay $3,000 and promised a small role in Rocky. By the way, the Bull Mastiff also starred in the film.
Look at his face, 64 fights. Look at that nose. See that nose? That nose ain't never been broken. 64 fights. I've had guys busted on it. I had guys chewing on it, twisting it, punching it. I mean, whack, boom. These guys are hitting my nose all the time. Never broke. I'm very proud of that. Isn't that rare? That's rare.
Filming was difficult, as was the preparation for it. Stallone even quit smoking when he realized that he couldn't last 5 minutes in the ring without being out of breath. The movie turned out to be incredibly successful and received 10 Oscar nominations. At that time, Stallone became the third actor in history nominated for this award simultaneously for Best Actor and Best Screenplay. The creators won 3 statuettes, including one for Best Film. After the film Fist and Stallone's directorial debut, Paradise Alley, he released the sequel to Rocky. While preparing for filming, Sylvester agreed to compete with his coach in the bench press and seriously injured his pectoral muscle. Since then, half of his chest has been more sinewy than the other. In 1981, the action movie Nighthawks and the sports drama Escape to Victory about a soccer team of World War II prisoners were released. After filming, Sylvester said that playing soccer was harder for him than boxing in Rocky. By the way, the next film released was Rocky III, for which Sylvester received $7 million, followed by the premiere of First Blood.
Don't push it, I'll give you a war you won't believe.
Stallone, as the screenwriter, participated in the casting for the lead role, rejected several candidates, and eventually played it himself. He received $3.5 million for his work. In 1984, Sylvester received a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He also tried a genre change by starring in the musical comedy Rhinestone, for which he received $4 million and an anti-award Golden Raspberry. For the sake of this role, he refused to work in the films Romancing the Stone and Beverly Hills Cop that became super hits, which he later greatly regretted. A year later, critics gave a lukewarm rating to the continuation of Rambo's story, although President Ronald Reagan praised Sylvester Stallone for creating a new symbol for the American Army. For this film, the actor again received the Golden Raspberry. More success awaited Rocky IV, for which he received $12 million and the Golden Raspberry Anti-Award as the worst director.
See, I fight, so you don't have to fight. 'Cause I want you to use your head for something instead of a punching bag like I do.
Your head doesn't look like a punching bag.
Meanwhile, Stallone's wife was tired of enduring her husband's numerous infidelities and filed for divorce, demanding compensation of $33 million. The last straw was Sylvester's affair with Bridget Nielsen. They met on the set of Rocky IV and got married in 1985, but the marriage lasted only 2 years. In the end, Bridget sued Stallone for $1 million. In 1986, Stallone starred in the action movie Cobra, for which he received $13 million.
Hey, dirtbag. You're a lousy shot. I don't like lousy shots. You wasted a kid. For nothing. Now I think it's time to waste you.
Interestingly, the main character's car, a 1950 Mercury Monterey, belonged to Sylvester in real life. 9 years later, the vehicle was stolen from his garage. It was returned in 2009, and along with the car, he got $3 million in compensation. Stallone's next project was the film Over the Top for $13 million. And in 1988, Rambo 3 was released. For his work, the actor received $16 million and a Golden Raspberry. In the next few years, the films Lock Up, Tango and Cash, Rocky V, Oscar, Demolition Man, and Cliffhanger were released. And for each of them, the actor received $15 million. Sylvester starred in Cliffhanger to overcome his fear of heights.
You want to do it? Do it.
Now. You live with it.
At the same time, Stallone appeared as a police sergeant whose mother meddles with investigations in the comedy Stop, or My Mom Will Shoot.
Mom, stay out of this, okay?
Joe, wave to the crowd.
Mom, God damn it!
Hey, you don't swear to your mother.
Hey, butt out! Hey, my mother, relax.
Hey, it's your mother, so you do what she tells you to do.
This film, for which he was again awarded the Golden Raspberry, the actor considers the worst in his career. He agreed to star in it to spite Arnold Schwarzenegger, who spread a rumor that he wanted to get this role himself. Of course, Arnold was just pranking his friend, but Sylvester didn't find out about it until many years later. In the late 1980s, Stallone met model Jennifer Flavin. He called her his ideal, selfless, loving, and so patient. However, this did not prevent Sylvester from constantly having affairs. In 1995, Stallone reined himself in and begged for Jennifer's forgiveness on his knees and hasn't been seen cheating since. A few years later, the couple got married and had 3 daughters. Interestingly enough, when the journalist from the publication Star decided to give Sylvester an album with all his partners for his 50th birthday, it turned out that there were 595 of them. Among the actor's lovers were the singer Cher, who later called the man a Neanderthal, models Linda Evangelista, Cindy Crawford, Naomi Campbell, and Janice Dickinson. Meanwhile, the actor added several movies to his filmography. Among them were the films The Specialist, with a payout of $12 million, action films Assassins and Judge Dredd for $15 million each, and for the film Daylight, Sylvester earned $17.5 million and overcame another fear of confined spaces. To diversify his resume and play a more serious role, Stallone agreed to star in the thriller Copland for only $80,000.
There's got to be a way out of this for everyone. So I say, why don't we all go in tomorrow together?
Freddie, I invited men, cops, good men to live in this town. And these men to make a living.
According to him, it was an interesting experience and he enjoyed it, but it did not help his career in any way, as well as his health, because of weight gain for the role. Sylvester got sciatica, heart palpitations, digestive problems, and headaches. This was followed by the failed comedy, an Alan Smithy film, Burn Hollywood Burn, the cartoon Ants, where the actor voiced one of the roles. In 2000, the action movie Get Carter premiered, for which Sylvester received $20 million. In the same year, he was awarded another Golden Raspberry as the worst actor of the century. Sylvester wrote the script and starred in his next project, Driven, in 2001, for which he received $20 million. This film became famous as the most unrealistic film about motorsports. Then, after the film's Detox, with a payout of $20 million, Avenging Angelo, Shade, the comedy Spy Kids 3D, Game Over, for which he received the Golden Raspberry, and the TV series Las Vegas, Stallone returned to his legendary characters in both Rocky Balboa and Rambo.
And there isn't one of us that doesn't want to be someplace else. But this is what we do. Who we are.
In 2007, he was caught importing banned hormones from Australia to build muscle mass. The actor pleaded guilty and eventually paid more than $11,000 in fines and court costs. In 2009, Stallone appeared in the Bollywood film Damn Love, and a year later, he assembled the old guard and presented the action movie The Expendables to the audience.
Yeah, should have shot him when I had a chance.
Big Barney Ross.
Bigger Trent Mouse.
What are you doing? Praying for Brooke?
Could be.
Despite being nominated for the Golden Raspberry for directing, the film received high ratings and paid off 3 times its cost at the box office. In addition, The Expendables made Sylvester the only person in the history of Hollywood who starred in films that got first places in the box office charts for 5 decades in a row. At the same time, on the set, he once again had to struggle because Sylvester suffered 14 injuries, as well as bronchitis and shingles. In 2011, Sylvester's voice could be heard in the film Zookeeper, and in the same year, he was inducted into the Boxing Hall of Fame. Some fans of this sport were not thrilled because Stallone didn't appear in the ring but only played in the movies. By the way, the actor is connected with boxing not only through his role as Rocky. In the 1980s, he was the manager of a boxing match, and in the 2000s, he launched the reality show The Contender, where participants fought for a contract in the professional ring. In 2012, the sequel to The Expendables was released, which turned out to be even more spectacular, and Stallone earns $15 million, and soon, he added another movie to his filmography called Bullet to the Head. Stallone received $12 million for that work. This was followed by collaboration with Iron Arnold in the action movie Escape Plan, for which Sylvester received $10 million. The sports film Grudge Match, the drama Reach Me, and the third part of The Expendables. For all these films, he received $15 million. In 2015, Stallone voiced the cartoon Ratchet & Clank and presented another continuation of the story about the legendary boxer Creed, for which he received the Golden Globe Award.
You're gonna take a beating, you're gonna take this, you're gonna get knocked down, you're gonna get up, and you're gonna see if you got the right thing. But you gotta work hard. I swear to God, if you're not gonna do it, I'm out.
After 3 years, the second part was released, and between them, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and the cartoon Animal Crackers. Soon, Stallone appeared in such films as Backtrace, the second and third parts of the fantastic action movie Escape Plan. In 2019, the fifth film about Rambo, with the telling title Rambo: Last Blood, was released.
I want you to feel my rage, my hate, when I reach into your chest and rip out your heart!
According to critics, the ending of the story didn't turn out to be very successful, but Sylvester is sure that Rambo can still be called the personification of young soldiers and wants one of the directors to shoot a prequel about his childhood and youth. In 2021, the actor played King Shark in the superhero action movie The Suicide Squad, based on the comics of the same name, and in August 2022, appeared as an aging superhero in Samaritan. Stallone has big plans ahead. He recently returned to television in the crime series Tulsa King, will appear in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and is preparing to release the fourth part of The Expendables. And he also intends to expand his franchise by shooting a TV series and a female version of the beloved blockbuster. It also became known that Sylvester is preparing a reality show with his family members. Although Stallone mostly appears on screen with a gun at the ready, in real life, after one of his friends was shot, he calls for a ban on guns in the United States. Since childhood, Sylvester has been fond of painting. Two of his works were even sold for $90,000, but this is only a small part of his fortune, estimated at $400 million. In addition to movies, Sylvester wrote several books about training, tried to launch a sports nutrition company, unsuccessfully, and published the magazine Sly with help tips and interviews with celebrities. This idea was also not very successful, with only 4 issues published. Another business failure happened with the Planet Hollywood restaurants. Stallone co-owned the chain with Bruce Willis and Arnold Schwarzenegger, but the establishments went bankrupt. Realizing that he was best at producing media content, in 2018, Sylvester founded his own film studio. He also sometimes agrees to star in commercials. He promoted the British bakery chain Warburton's and even Japanese sausages. But perhaps the most famous advertising campaign with him is the one for the Versace home collection. He appeared together with Claudia Schiffer as Adam and Eve. By the way, Stallone was friends with Gianni Versace and was a regular guest of the Italian fashion house shows. But the actor refused one advertising offer. It was in the late 80s when an American beer brand offered him $5 million on the condition that he cut his hair. Sylvester Stallone spends his millions on an impressive collection of cars. In his garage, there are Bugatti Veyron, Aston Martin DBS, Bentley Continental GTC, Ferrari 612 Scaglietti, Ferrari 599 GTB Florano, Mercedes SL65, Mercedes E-Class, Porsche Panamera, Chevrolet Camaro, Ford Mustang, one of the most popular classic cars, Corvette 68, and even a rare Ford from 1932. We must not forget the luxury Cadillac Escalade. Stallone invested more than $400,000 in the design of this car. In addition, Sylvester loves motorcycles and expensive watches. He has a gold Rolex Submariner with a black dial, the cost of which is $20,000, as well as a GMT Master II Rolex made with 18-karat white gold for $7.5 thousand. However, one should not think that Stallone spends his millions only on himself. For decades, he auctioned off the original props from Rocky and eventually raised about $10,000 for the Canadian Diabetes Association. Stallone donated several million more to the project to combat childhood epilepsy. In the last decades, Sylvester has lived in a mansion in Beverly Hills. Its interiors varied from pompous neoclassicism with columns, curtains, gilding, and statues to modern bright decor. At the end of 2021, Adele bought this house for $58 million. Today, Sylvester owns a mansion in Palm Beach, Florida, with a pool and an outdoor jacuzzi worth $35.4 million, and an estate in Hidden Hills, California, bought in February this year for $18.2 million. The house has 5 bedrooms with bathrooms, a kitchen with granite countertops, a dining room, and also a stable on the territory. Previously, Stallone owned a villa in Miami with 3 guest houses, which he sold for $24 million. A house in Coconut Grove, Florida. The actor received $16 million for it in 1999, as well as a house in La Quinta, California. Sylvester and his wife bought a Mediterranean-style mansion in 2010 for $4.5 million and sold it in 2020 for $3.1 million. Sylvester Stallone is a whole era in cinema. Despite critical reviews of his acting and a string of nominations for the Golden Raspberry, he became a fan favorite. And what is your favorite Stallone role?
You know as fast as you think.
I'm beginning to sense that.
If you like the video, leave a like and also subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss anything interesting.